Today's daf is daf Chaf Hey, and we're up to the Mishnah Kumlan Ablat Gemara. We're drawing contrasts all the time. So even though they're totally unrelated in Yonim, we're nevertheless drawing contrasts. So we have clay eights and clay matkas. You have wooden kalim and you have metal kalim, and we're talking about to receive tumah. Kali, when it comes to a wooden kali, the only way it can be makabel tumah is if it's a receptacle. It's a clay kibble. But if it's a flat keli, it's not mekabel tumah. When it comes to metal, we say pshute matches is also mekabel tumah, but it has to be a receptacle that is complete, that is totally completed, including the decorations. As we see, but clay eights, as long as it's a receptacle, even though it's not completely decorated, it's mekabel tumah. So let's go through the Mishnah. We're just starting right now. That which is tahir by kliyetz, a flat piece of wood, is tamei b'kli matkas. By metal, it becomes tamei because flat is tamei. Tahir b'kli matkas, when it comes to metal and it is tahir, will be, for example, if it's not fully decorated, tamei b'kli kliyetz. As long as you're a receptacle, you'll be makabel tumah, even though it's not fully decorated. And the Gemara will explain why they should be different. So now, as every Gemara Mishnah we had, have a brayso that delineates it further. Talk about we learned. Go make clay eights. If you already have the form of a clay eight, it's a keli, you already have the form. You just didn't finish decorating it, but already has a form. That's main. But pshutein, a flat piece of wood, is tired. But go make clay matkas by a metal keli. If you have already a form of a keli, but you didn't finish the decoration, you didn't complete the keli, tahirin, it's tired. And pshutein tamei, but if it's flat, it's tamei. Nimtza, so it comes out to what the Mishnah said. Now the Braisa continues to explain. What's a gol clay eights? It already has a receptacle, but it's not really completed yet. What are we talking about here? Kol sha'asid loshev. You intend, let's say, to go ahead and smear it on the outside to make it nice and smooth and shiny, or the Shabbats to put a few nails in on the outside over there to hold things into place, to make some decoration add-ons, or the gader to peel it to make it very smooth, or over there the charket to paint things on it, or to make grooves in the thing there. These are all designs. Make some kind of designs, or lahatiach betunis, or to smear it with the skin of a fish called tunis, or mechusakan, it's missing the base, but the keli itself is there. Oigen is missing the rim. Oizen missing a handle. It's a keli ready, but it's incomplete. Is the din is in all the cases tummy. It is tummy. But in mechusa chatita, if you still haven't completed the keli itself, not these decorations, these are all outside of the keli, the external to the keli. But if you're missing in the carving out of the keli itself, then of course, then tar. It's not. It's the mamish keli is missing. Then it's tar. If it's missing the digging, of course, it's not a keli. No, leisicha the chok kafiza bekava. A kafiza is 3 loigin and the kav has 4. So you intended to make a keli that can contain in it 4 loigin of whatever it is, liquids, but you only dug so far 3. So the keli itself was incomplete. So we would have thought, look, the fact is it's a keli. And we said before, you don't have to be complete when it comes to the outside. So we would have thought maybe here also it's already a keli as far as wood is concerned. Kamashal, it's not, because your intention is, as far as a keli is concerned, to be a kav. The eilehe, so these are examples, we say they're all tummy. What are examples of goyim matkas? Would we say the same thing? Which it's not tummy. Same thing. You have a keli, but you didn't finish the outside decorations. It's not tummy by metal. Why? We'll see in a minute why. What's example of goyim matkas? Kosha also the same thing. Lashu, to smear it, the shabbos, and to put nails and put things on. The gada to scrape it, the lecharket to put some grooves in there. Lahakish bekunis, you have some folds in the metal, so you want to flatten it out and bang it with a hammer. The chusakan, missing the base, or oigen, or the rim, or oizen, or the handle. All of these cases tar. It is tar. Not like the clay eights as tamei. Mechusar kisui tamei. If it's missing the lid, it's a full keli, and the lid is missing. That's already tamei. Why by wood? We're talking about tumah, contrasting tumah. So by wooden keli, we say if the keli is complete, just you didn't finish the outside, then it's tamei. And by metal, we say that if the keli is complete, you didn't finish the outside, it's not tamei. What's the difference? So we have 2 opinions. Rabbi Yechon Amar Hoya will cover the metals is much more chashuv, and you'll give it to guests, and therefore when it comes to guests, you're not going to give them a keli that doesn't have the final handle, doesn't have the. You're embarrassed. This is more than just the use of a keli. This is a keli that's presentable. It's not presentable. So therefore, it's not makabel tuma. It's not complete. And Amnachman says, "Hoil v'demei yekarim." You can command a much higher price for metal, and therefore, if you're going to sell it, you have to have a full keli. You can't give a 3/4. Including the handle. You got to give everything. Depending on my benai, what's feeling it's because the reason of covered or the reason is because of expense. What about a wooden keli? A wooden keli, made out of bone. Wood. Klei made out of bone. By a bone keli is not nice. You're not going to present it to think, but it's very expensive. It's hard to make. It's very expensive. So if the reason is because it's very expensive, then also it's not makabel tuma till you finish all the other parts. If the reason is because I was covered, you're not going to give it to guest either, so therefore it'll be kabel to me even before you do the extra parts. The Ozer Amnachman is consistent on, but Amnachman says kli etzem, a keli made out of boneware, is kli matkas at the same status as metal, vice and kabel tum as well because it's expensive. Miklal, so Gemara says, so what are you telling us? Miklal the kli etzem kabel tuma, that a bone keli is kabel tuma. Where do you know that from? Yes, the Tanya what does it mean when it says in the pasuk? It talks about what's makabel tuma. It says any material, any garment, and any made out of hide. The whole mass easy man, all activities, all parts of a goat. And the whole creates chato. You have to put it in the mikveh. What's the whole mass is in chato? Lahavi. What is it coming to include? It's coming to include which comes from the goat, but from the horns, and from the hooves, even the bones. So how do you know that other animals as well have the same din that the bones from an animal is makabel tum of it? It says vichol masa. It says in the pasuk vichol, and therefore it could that any animal. So why does Dafka stress goats? If you're telling me that this din is applicable in every animal, so why does it say Dafka v'chol masa izim? To exclude what? Pratla eifers, not the bones of a bird, because they're not strong enough and they're not choshev enough. They don't count. And Rashi says, for example, they used to make kelim out of the nails of, not sure what kind of kelim it is, they used to make kelim out of the nails of a bird, and that's not makabel tumah. Okay, then now we're jumping to something else. Again, we're just drawing contrasts. We're talking about you have to give truma ma'aser, you have to give truma ma'atoy, you got to give truma ma'aser chamesh minei dogan, the 5 grains, and tidish v'yiser, from wine and from oil. Machlekes the Rambam another rishonim whether peidos you have to give ma'atoy, we paskins midrabanan, and vegetables kol al midrabanan. Is when we had this a few times during the Gemara regarding certain kinds of almonds. There's certain kinds of almonds, species of almonds that when they're small, they are bitter, and when they're large, they're sweet and they're nice. And the other almonds that dafkim when they're small, you can eat, they're edible, but when they get big, they're no good anymore. They become bitter. So they said like this: Hachayiv b'shkedim hamorim, those almonds which are bitter, and therefore when are you chayiv truma ma'aser only when they're small, because then it's edible. When they're big, they're not edible. Is potim and mesukim, but the sweet almonds is punkt vakert. When they're small, you're not chayiv ma'aser because you don't really eat them then. When do you eat them? Only when they're large. So that's what is chayiv by the large. By the bitter almonds is potter for the sweet almonds, and a chayiv b'mesukim, and the sweet almonds when you chayiv when they're large is potter b'modim. The bitter almonds you potter them because nobody eats it when they're large. These bitter almonds, ktanim, if they're ktanim chayav and they're edible, you chayiv in ma'aser and so on, through ma'aser, and gedolim. The larger ones, because they're not edible. Mesukim, when it comes to the sweet ones, is punfaket. Gedolim chayav, and the larger chayav, and ketani pturim. Comes along Rabbi Shmuel, but Rabbi Yasi, Mishum Aviv, he says, name his father Rabbi Yasi, Zeh v'zeh liftoir. He said that they are both potter. The big machlek is Rashi and Taisa right here. What do you mean Zeh v'zeh? Rashi holds Zeh v'zeh means all small ones. He says that all small ones are potter. That means even the bitter almonds, when they're small, they're potter because it's not a pedi. It's not yet. It's a payday is only when it's full size, fully blossomed. It's not a payday, and you are potter. And Taisa learns. So no, but that means sai, whether it's morim, whether it's masukim, small as a potter. Taisa learned that no, which means zevah means that morim are always potter, whether it's large or whether it's small. And the Amri Lada says that what the large ones are always chayiv according to Rabbi Shmuel. Even the mori machayka, that's now a pedi, and we'll see in the Gemara why you chayiv, because if you sweeten it, you put it on the fire, you could turn it into something edible. And Taizel learns zev means that that a mori, whether it's small, whether it's large, is always chayiv. Amar Rabbaloi says that he paskin that it's always potter. All small ones are potter. The one holds there over every chayim, including the large, even the bitter ones. Look, it's not edible. Yes, you can sweeten it through fire, so therefore it's potentially edible. Says the Mishnah. Now we know that water has two dinim that we're going to relate to here. One is when it comes to the Maisa Sheni money, you couldn't bring it to the Shalim, so you took money. This money you bring to the Shalim, and you have to buy paydi by Duli Oretz, which means you can only buy with it food. You can only buy with it paydas. You can only buy with it animals and a beef and chickens, but you cannot buy with it water. Because water is not paid nor is it gedulei. You cannot buy water. That's din number one. And when you talk about water that sat in grapes, and now it took on the flavor of wine. Because we say it's wine, because wine is considered paid because it's grapes. And therefore you can swap the money, the Ma'aser Sheni money on this wine. Buy the water.
Juice or temed, the water that's soaked with the...
Too much soaked. You soaked it in grapes, and then it eventually it seeps out and it transforms the water. So do we say it has a status of wine, and for the kedusha? One second, the kedusha of the water transfers to the money. The kedusha of the money transfers now to this winey water, and therefore the money now is chulin. Or do we say that no, it's always considered the water, and therefore the money of Ma'aser Sheni still remains Ma'aser Sheni? Yes. Grapes. There's an opinion. By the way, good point. These kind of grapes, here. There is one opinion of the Rishonim. We're talking about raisins here. Good. Rashi learns talking about grapes. One of the Rishonim, if I remember correctly, learns that it's that it learns it's raisins. Okay, but good point. Obviously, if you leave in grapes long enough, or maybe you give a little squish. Can't tell you. Those grapes are different than today anyway. They have much stronger wine, so the grapes were different as well, so we can't compare. And the other din is regarding a mikveh, which all those available we learned the last minute about a mikveh. That you have 40 saw, and if you have the three, the din is if you have mayim she'uvin, so obviously it's no good. You have to have 40 saw proper. If you have missing, if you put 3 loigen of mayim shuvim, and you have 40 saw minus 3 loigen. You put 3 loigen of shuvin, and then afterwards you can put as much rainwater as you want. It doesn't kash in the mikveh. If the first 40 saw 3 loigen of that is water, is mayim shuvin, or is no good. But if it's wine, let's say you put in there, it doesn't pass the mikveh. Okay, so remember, so it's important to know whether it has a din of water or din of wine. Says the Mishnah, hatemet. So this temet, which we're talking about right now, which you soak the water in wine, is actually hechmed before it fermented. The Rashi clearly says, "My manitonim lechatzonim." We're talking about grapes here.
The chartzen and zog is the skin.
The zog is the skin, and the chartzen is the flesh itself. It's the pips usually, but the grape itself. Hatemet actually hechmi before it became chametz, or even if you peel whatever, and now it comes eino nikr. So therefore, cold man it didn't yet ferment. Eino nikr, it's water. So eino nikr can ma'aser. You can't use ma'aser money for it. It doesn't swap over because you can't buy water with ma'aser sheni money. Number one. On the other hand, but the chumra is upoiselas mikveh. If there are 3 loigen of this water, which is mayim shuvin, even though now it maybe tastes a little bit like wine, if there are 3 loigen of mayim shuvin, it ruins the mikveh forever. You can add as much rainwater afterwards as possible. It doesn't help. But it has to be exactly 3 loigen. And remember, Gemara Makkos will have it here again. Misha hechmitz, but once, let's say, it fermented, now it's wine. Even though nikach bekesef ma'aser, so now you can purchase it with ma'aser money, and the kedusha of the what do you call it? Of the money will be transferred to this wine that you bought, or this watery wine. And on the other hand, any place in mikveh, it's wine. It doesn't pass through your mikveh. So if you have 40 saw and the last 3 loigen you put in this watery, just put another 3 loigen in, and you have your 40 saw. That's the next second part of the Mishnah. You have 2 brothers. If Kolzman, they didn't divide the estate, it's considered tfusas habayis. This is the father's estate that they just have to manage. and they have certain laws there, so they're not partners. Once they divided the estate and then they decided to join together as partners, they have the full-fledged din of partners as strangers who become partners. So, for example, when it comes to Maisa Behema, two partners own an animal, there's no din of Maisa Behema. It has to be l'chal, your own. But if it's Tfusas Habayis, if it's still the house, then if it belongs to the house, then you have to give Maisa Behema. So that's one din. And another din is when you have machzis hashekel, every time you go to the machzis hashekel, you want to swap, you have to add a kalban, a certain amount, a half a mo or a mo. You have to add a certain amount, either because the money was not pure, the shekel it goes by weight. It's not really pure, so you have to add a little bit, or because there's a commission that has to be paid to the money changer. And why should the hektish have to, like the stores here today, they charge you the little interest that the banks charges them for the credit cards. Same idea. So the next part, ha'achin ha'shutvin, if they're shutvin, I mean they divided the state and came back together. K'shachayovin bekalban, if they're chayiv and a kalban because they treat like two strangers, then to the ma'izbeim, the particular, the regular partners. Or k'shachayov ma'izbeim, if you don't treat like partners, they didn't yet divide the state. Then pturim in a kalban. Then it's like the father giving up half of his children. You don't have to give if you're giving up half of a poor person, a neighbor, and all that. You don't have to add this extra kalban. So the kalban is the extra little bit you give on top of the half a shekel.
It's a small coin, isn't it?
It's a mo or a half a mo. Mani Maslisin. Who's the author of our Mishnah? Getting back to Temet, that that we say if it became alcohol or not. Not what are we talking about? Let's say you put in a log of water onto grapes. And after you took the grapes out, you poured the water out, it found exactly the same amount of water you put in is what came out, which means no wine, no grape juice, no juice from the grape actually was exuded that entered the water. It's just the flavor, that you have flavor of wine or an appearance of wine. Potter. The thing is that you are potter, it's water. You potter mice know that, you're potter. And Rabbi Yehuda Mechayiv, he said, no, you chayiv mice. Why? Because it looks and tastes like wine. So you go back to our Mishnah. So the argument of Yehuda has nothing to do with whether it was machmitz or not. All that matters here is, according to one opinion, if it's the same amount of water, nothing happened here. And according to the other opinion is, if it looks like wine, it's wine. Nobody makes a distinction here whether there's machmitz or not. So who's the author of Mishnah? Even because the Rabbanan, they hold, we don't care. We don't care if it's no extra volume of liquid, nothing happened here. And if Rabbi Yehuda, and if it's Rabbi Yehuda, even if it did not, it was nechmitz, we say the same thing. We don't care. It looks like wine, it's wine. I don't care, if it became alcohol or not. It's machlekes. No, he says the machlekes of the chachamim and the Rabbi Yehuda is only if the wine already fermented. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda says, okay, it's mamish like wine. It looks like wine. That's wine. Now chachamim say even though it looks like wine and if it tastes like wine and it was fermented like wine, but the fact of the matter is that no extra. All it is the same water. We look at the Metzias itself, not the Chazusa, not the Tam, not the look and not the Tam. So then I would say, Masis and Rabbi Yehuda. So who's the author of our Mishnah? It's Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda, the Mishnah says clearly, it all depends of if it became Hechmetz or Loi Hechmetz. That's the view of Rabbi Yehuda. He says, as long as Hechmetz, I don't care if it added any additional volume. And the Hechmetz Machlekes, the Machlekes are Hechmetz, and our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue. I'm Nachum Ravu.